Hi, everybody. My name is Rita Crompton, host of the radio show Invent America, and also known as the Inventor Lady. Today we have with us Jonathan David. He was on the show a couple of weeks ago now, and is our go-to registered patent attorney for when we have questions about patents. So, Jonathan, thank you so much for being with us today. I am grateful to have you.
Well, thank you for having me. It's great to be on.
And we've worked together now for a few years, and you've helped a lot of our inventors get through the process. One of the things that we always suggest, whether they're using you as their registered patent attorney or any other patent attorney, is the first thing you pay for is a good search. And there are multiple reasons why. So when I send someone to you, we are generally sending them with then their search submission and their report. How does this help you get started?
Oh, it answers several important questions we should answer before we even get started. You know, if the inventor has a very baseline idea, you want to see, has this baseline idea been done anywhere in the world, not just in the US, but in Canada, Europe, and Asia. We just kind of want to see is someone else kind of thought of the same thing or thought along similar lines. So we want to have kind of answer that question, at first. And if that question is no, that's fantastic for the inventor. However, if that question is maybe or even yes, we kind of have to then answer another question. Is there a way where this invention is malleable enough to where we can kind of modify it to where it's now not been kind of just thought along the same lines by people in other parts of the country or other parts of the world? So you kind of have to answer those questions like, has this been done before? And if so, are there variations of this that have not been done before that the inventor can go on and bank on and kind of proceed forward on? You kind of have to answer these two very important questions at the very beginning before you even proceed. So.
Right. And, I get inventors that say, well, I don't understand why I need to have an international search done because I'm only going to sell in the US. And they don't realize the very important point is that prior art is prior art, whether it is in the US or in Timbuktu, someplace. Prior art is prior art. And
absolutely. I've been in a lot of cases where examiners routinely cite art, from other countries, even if it's the US case. So prior art is prior art, as you said.
Yep. I mean, we had one come back from Finland that was almost identically worded as to the one that had been filed in the US. And I said, that is prior art, and that is why you have a search done. And they were just, absolutely dumbfounded that one, there was something else out there that was so close to theirs, and two, that it really mattered. And I think that the other big thing is that, really doesn't matter when. I had somebody years ago that wanted to do a hinged glove. And it's like, what parts in knight in shining armor are you just not getting?
Exactly. You just have to you have to, definitely, you have to clearly identify as someone thinking along these lines I'm thinking, or have they kind of done something similar before? And if so, can I do it go along a slightly different line that's not been done before, or has no one done this before? You have to definitely have those two questions answered before you proceed forward. So
you don't want to infringe on somebody else, first of all.
Exactly.
Getting a cease and desist letter is not fun, especially if you put thousands of dollars into getting a product ready and you just didn't realize it. So that's the first thing you want to find out. But, one of the other things is that sometimes, when we get back the searches and somebody says, well, this one is close. And it's like, then the conversation you want to have with Jonathan is, why is yours different or better? Because a better widget, a lot of times, time will allow manufacturing to do better widgets. Sometimes it's just like nobody really thought of that. I mean, the example I always use is the flashlight. Flashlight is a light coming out at the end of the stick, and you can go down a shelf or a row in Target and see a dozen different types of flashlights, and some of them have patent pending pieces to them. But the guy that invented the one that wraps around a pole, how cool was that?
Exactly.
Still a light coming out of the end of the stick, but a better widget, or just different enough to be able to get to the market. So being able to focus on why yours is better or different is really important. But, part of it too is then the selling of the product. When you invent something that solves a problem the consumer didn't know they had, you spend a lot of money teaching them they have the problem.
Right.
All right. And when you've got a better widget, they already understand they need a flashlight. Now they just don't have to hold it with their mouth.
Definitely. It's definitely, as you said, that improvement side of something already known as a huge, factor, inventors need to kind of seriously think about at the very beginning before they proceed forward. Do I have a much better flashlight? Do I have a much better computer processor? Do I have a much better, car steering wheel or something that makes it more efficient to drive the car, or something helps control the car better? Any type of hard improvement that's not been thought before, is something that the inventor really needs to answer before they proceed forward. All of this should be answered at the point of when the search is being done, as you've indicated, and I've indicated, doing many times to inventors on many cases. So
yeah, it's, I've had inventors say that was the best $500 I ever spent, because they find something right away and now they know, make it better or move on to your next idea.
Exactly.
And it is the starting point. It's the beginning of, do I really have something? And I always tell inventors, it's like, I don't need you dreaming about little islands in Tahiti, not yet. Let's get a search done. And a product search is a really important part of it as well, because explain the 2.5-year blind spot at the USPTO.
Oh, definitely. After an application typically is filed, it definitely will, the examiners will find, try to, reject the invention with, various prior art which they feel teaches on your invention. The examiner may or may not be right. Most of the time, in my opinion, they're not right. But in my unbiased opinion, I'd say they're not right. But that process of their mailing time and how they respond to responses to their, correspondence, that can take, from the time the application is filed to when it's allowed, it can take sometimes 2.5 and 3 years, even given their response time, and how they, interact. So the inventors, once they think of the idea, they should not get this in their head, let me just file this application and I'm going to get it granted within a few months. It generally does not work that way. So
I can say, well, how long does it take? And it's like, well, about 3 years. It's like, to write the patent? I said, no, to get it issued. There's a difference.
right.
And so, but a lot of inventors don't realize that when you're having a search done, that a provisional never shows up.
Exactly.
But a lot of inventors will go out, they'll do video and post it. They'll go to a trade show. And a lot of times those are the searches that, will identify then a product that is in the early stages, and that we know that we've got to be able to compare and beat before
Right.
we, file anything. So it's that, but it's another 1.5 years from the time they file the non-provisional before it's published.
Exactly.
So that 2.5-year blind spot can be a killer for an inventor just getting started. And so the product search now becomes a very important part of the overall search for someone just getting started.
Absolutely. It's something that's so critical and important part of the process that should, I'd recommend to all inventors to never kind of skip. You just want to know what's out there and how yours has either not been done before, or is there a particular, hardcore improvement in yours that, that's clearly not in all other well-known products,
So, well,
need.
and the other thing is that as hard as you try, all right, you cannot read their mind.
Exactly.
So, reading what they put into the search request and then reading the report helps you start getting your head wrapped around what they're trying to do. And then being able to have the conversation or see video with them helps some more. But
Right.
their input, because you can't read their mind and I can't read anyone's mind. There's times I wish I had that crystal ball and I wish somebody would invent it.
Right.
But yet we don't have one. So, we need to collaborate, have the input to be able to take a look at things. So, it's really important for inventors to have something in writing that you, as the registered patent attorney, can start with.
Definitely.
So anyway, thank you so much for your time today. And I look forward to having you on the radio and doing more video with you. Thank you, Jonathan.
Absolutely. Thank you, Rita.